more. Let's see if things do change up at all, or if we just have a repeat of the last draft. LGD, so far, still agreeing with the way that they did it last time, banning the Zoe. This time they're going to ban the Syndra, though.
Yeah, Syndra going to be taken off the board, so not wanting that flexibility, or at least the goodness that Syndra offers in the mid lane to be up. V5 going to ban away the LeBlanc as well. I feel like that was the opposite way around, but either way, we're going to be coming into this. Aphelios locked in for Kramer now, so no messing about. LGD want to make sure they're the ones that are opting into at least the scaling AD carry in this round.
Yeah, I think LGD basically saying, look, we need to be able to go for these front-to-back 5v5s. That's how they won against us. Let's do the same thing to them this time around. Biubiu, though, wants to be a bit more aggressive than the Ornn.
And this has been a really successful pick for Biubiu. I'd be surprised to see them lock it in now, though. I think leaving it open and trying to figure out your jungle, your AD carry, or even your support pick here is going to do far better, because you still have the likes of the Wukongs and stuff that could come in really useful for Biubiu on that 4-4 pick.
We'll see. I think they are just going to go for the top lane, and this is typical LPL, right? It's not perfect drafting, but Renekton for the top lane is something that they just love to go for.
It is, but this early in the draft is really strange. Usually we do see, as we talked about, another AD carry locked in here where you don't actually give a lot away, so you don't really know what's going on. And I love this call from LGD. They go, okay, well, if you've locked in a Renekton, you need to be able to get in on top of us. You need to be able to go aggressive. So we're going to take the Ornn. So then we can play this engage whenever we want to style. We're going to take the Kindred, so then we can keep kiting back. We've got this ultimate to keep ourselves safe. And now when you look towards V5, you're kind of like, oh, well, we're struggling now to get into these fights. And even if we do get these magical engages off, we've got a lot of safety with the Kindred.
So far, so good for the side of LGD. And banning away the Bard, ppgod, being denied on this one. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Thresh ban as well, because ppgod didn't look too great on the Nautilus. I mean, he did his job, but did get caught out a couple of times. Kassadin and Galio banned away. Basically, the only other meta mid laners available are kind of like your Twisted Fate, maybe your Azir.
There is the option here for LGD, as you said, to ban away the Thresh. I like the Bard, because Bard kind of cheats out engages with his ultimate. But I think if I'm LGD here, I kind of just double down onto all this scaling. I go for something like the Azir for xiye. I can go towards either the Nautilus or something along those lines in the bottom lane for Mark, and we just go, hey look, we're not interested in fighting you for quite a while. We're just going to separate out these team fights, make sure Trundle, Renekton, and this Nautilus can't really get in, and scale for late game.
The big question to me though is, can they survive that long if they go for something very defensive or very late game scaling in the mid lane? Can they actually last through the early game? Because there's a lot of mid-game power here for the side of V5 if they can push the envelope.
There definitely is. I just don't know if you're going to see how do you try and fight these fights in a lot of situations, because you do spike really hard off of 2 items, but unfortunately if you can't get into these fights, you don't really have an opportunity. And it looks like actually we're going to see xiye opting back towards the Twisted Fate that we saw against Eastar. It was a little bit hit and miss in the early stages of the game. Wasn't able to quite get out of lane, but maybe we see a different style here, and definitely plugs the hole, as we were talking about, in that mid-game damage source, or at least controlling the map in the mid-game.
Cassiopeia is going to be locked in here for Mole, and I've just thought, does teleporting count as a movement ability? And if so, does grounding it stop Twisted Fate's ultimate?
Yeah.
That's busted. That's a sick counter, actually.
Yeah, it stops teleports, it stops your ult's destiny as well, so yeah, it does work. It also offers a nice little bit of disengage or counter engage here as well for Mole, where if Langx is coming in aggressively and you've got Peanut trying to play up to follow up with that, well then you've got Mole who can try and go turn around with the Petrifying Gaze and win out in these fights, but also answering for that later game scaling, because when you look towards LGD, you've still got the double AD carry, which will do very well in the late game, but on V5 side, they were missing a lot of that later portion of the game damage because you've gone for the Misfortune. Cassiopeia provides that now.
So Cassio is that late game bastion of hope for V5 if they can't find the mid-game fights they're hoping for. On the other side, though, we get this Twisted Fate coming through once again. LGD, the one's going to be piloting that in the hands of xiye. He looked great on it earlier on in this split, and we'll see if he can keep that ball rolling. LGD, though, on the back foot here is V5 with the momentum from the last game. They looked good in those team fights. And we'll see if they can keep that ball rolling. And who's going to take game 3?
My eyes are going to be drifting towards this jungle matchup once again. So Weiwei did a great job when Peanut was on the Graves in the last game of coming out ahead when it came towards farming and getting to that level 6 first, which was a big surprise for me. I want to see Peanut now being a little bit more aggressive in this early game, making sure he is getting in to invade the enemy side of the jungle, getting these marks and actually controlling the jungle in the way he's expected to with the champions he's been locking in.
We're onto the Rift once more for the 3rd game of the day and the 3rd game of this series. And once again, we're keeping our eyes on xiye and Mole in the mid lane. It's Cassiopeia pick. It's going to be an interesting one to see how it's going to pan out. We've seen it one time previously in the mid lane, and it didn't look so hot. But now we'll see in the hands of Mole how it's going to work out.
The big thing here for xiye is against the Cassiopeia, you've got a lot of pushing power with this Twisted Fate, opting in towards the Minion Dematerializer as well. So the pushing power xiye has means he should be able to get out with that Destiny a little bit sooner, especially if he's got Peanut who's lending a helping hand and kind of controlling how this mid lane is going to operate in the first few instances of the waves. But we will have to see if he's able to do just that, because bottom lane would love to get some pressure where you can jump onto Sam D and use Mark and xiye to set up for these plays on the bottom side.
Well, the Colonel loves 2 things, and that's fried chicken and late game compositions, apparently, because he's definitely favoring LGD in this one. As we start things off, I'm curious how active xiye is going to be on this Twisted Fate, because we've seen quite a few people playing Twisted Fate at this point, not just even in the LPL, we've seen it elsewhere in the world, but we've seen varying levels of aggression with it. I really like the Twisted Fates that as soon as they hit the level 6, they find a man advantage and force fights around the map.
And that's where it really can come into its own, not only at that level 6 point, but throughout the game with having xiye played through a side lane, and then having LGD use the man advantage or the numbers advantage once Biubiu or Mold goes to deal with xiye on a side lane. But trading already in the mid lane.
Nicely done there by xiye, gets the stun down, but traded back by Mole in the end. These two have been going toe-to-toe this entire split, like this entire series. Mark pulled in here by ppgod, but with the Aftershock, it's actually going to be a pretty even trade there. Peanut has found Biubiu, though, and he's got his flash up, but he's very lonely right now. Weiwei is on his way to the fight, but Biubiu might just go down here. Red buff isn't going to be enough. Langx just too late to the party.
He had a lot of minions that were about to hit underneath his turret, so couldn't quite get there to help. And then Langx's actually in a bit of a disastrous spot where his wave is going to start pushing out. So Biubiu able to get that cheetah recall off, at least get, well, I was going to say cheetah recall off, but at least get back towards this top side without losing too much.
Yeah, he does teleport in the end, so it's not quite a cheetah recall. Also, I feel like a cheetah recall, you kind of have to opt into that. He definitely didn't choose to recall. He was forced out of lane on that one.
Very true. And as well, it usually happens as a cheetah recall around the 4-minute mark where you got that cannon wave coming, but not quite the case this time around, coming in a little bit earlier. So Biubiu not having that up and available could look to punish again for Peanut, especially since you know, okay, at least if I get the damage down onto Biubiu, he'll be forced to back and have to walk to the lane.
We do now have ourselves in a situation where Langx has the teleport advantage, so there could be a way for them to use and abuse that, especially when the Drake is going to spawn in 20 seconds.
There is also a window of opportunity where xiye will hit that level 6 point, and Langx, if he doesn't want to teleport back to lane, will still have that up and available. So doubling down on getting multiple members towards the bottom lane could be the game plan from LGD, but Langx's going to take a bit of abuse here from this Renekton in the top, and more than likely will have to use that teleport a little bit more selfishly than working towards the team.
Yeah, it might well be the case, just to keep himself even. CS on the top side, reasonably so as well. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen at home, you've got to keep your eyes on Peanut in this game because he's on that Kindred. And where those marks fall, you'll see them on the minimap, are going to be very important as to how he plays around the map and where he wants to go. Damage coming out from the side of LGD as Sam D forced away. Gravitum onto both, though. Mark is getting ready to dive this one. Peanut off to the side, and that's going to be a stun down onto ppgod himself. Can't quite finish off the kill. In goes Peanut to do exactly that. Pillar comes through, and Sam D finds himself completely alone. Double kill for Peanut on the Kindred. And that is a huge advantage as Mark takes one for the team. He is going to eventually go down to Weiwei.
I mean, you're happy as that for LGD. You get the kills, you get the almost get the turret plate, but more importantly, that kill went across to Weiwei instead of towards Sam D. So already you're getting these advantages for the bottom lane. And as well, xiye's doing a good job of getting out of lane. This was the big criticism I saw from him the last time that he played this Twisted Fate, was not actually having an impact around the map, but pre-level 6, getting the shove in against Mold like we expected, and able to have that impact towards the bottom lane.
Sam D has moved to the mid lane now alongside ppgod. Interestingly, you can see Renekton still going towards the top side. Mole's just recalled from that bottom lane. And I think Mole is still going to go back towards this mid lane. They're not actually going fully for the AD carry swap just yet.
Just trying to push in and at least make xiye lose a little bit of minions, but not going to be too much. They can put down a couple of wards as they walk towards the bottom side of the map here as well to try and keep vision in this river and spot if Peanut is going for this dragon. But realistically, Kramer has that pickaxe. He can now push in pretty effectively in the bottom wave, and Peanut can just hop, skip, and a jump over the back wall and start doing this dragon, although there is a ward in the pit right now from V5.
Kramer's just going to be clearing things away. As you rightly mentioned, this pit could be the focus for both these teams now as Dragon has appeared on the map. Weiwei is on the top half of the map right now, though, so I don't think he'll be really moving in to contest as Peanut just clears away the scuttle. And maybe Peanut's actually not going to start this Dragon off just yet. Instead, moving towards the mid lane. But obviously, there's a control ward there. We can all see it. He can't. There we go. Finally notice it as he pops his sweeper. I think Mole moving away in the mid lane gave up the ghost.
Still though, LGD looking to make plays around this bottom side. Peanut has started up the dragon. Does not quite spot the ward. Okay, should be able to finish it off now, but you can see members from V5 are trying to collapse.
They want to get in here, but they're a little bit late on the play, and this will go down the way of Peanut eventually. Could have a fight following that, though, because xiye has been forced on in here. Flashes away to the rest of his team. Gold card selected. The triple slow. Mark is going to be alone here as Kramer desperately tries to find his way out. Still has the flash available. Weiwei doing a lot of damage to him. Forces the flash eventually. xiye with a stun card available. Forces them away on this one, but V5, they get themselves not a whole lot.
They get a lot of flashes out, though. You can see xiye, Kramer, and Peanut. Well, Peanut's already down, but just looking for more here for V5.
They want to go for a dive right now. Stun comes through. What's the likes of ppgod as they just clear away these minions. Kramer able to do so with his little turret there.
Langx in the top lane, though, was able to get 2 turret plates for himself, whereas Biubiu was only able to answer for 1 in the mid lane. So at least at the moment, LGD coming out on top, it'll be on V5 to try and exploit the fact that these flashes are down, especially on Kramer in this bottom lane.
Yeah, Kramer is going to be a little bit nervous about the next few minutes of the game with heal and flash not available as Aphelios in the early game. Certainly a suboptimal situation for him if ppgod can find himself some hooks.
The good news for him, though, is xiye has now hit that level 7, does have the Destiny available, and can look to be the aggressors in these plays towards the bottom side and try and shut down Sam D and ppgod from trying to work with Weiwei in this scenario. But again, we'll have to see if he's actually able to make these work, because right now you want to have Peanut on that bottom side to make the plays happen, but he's pathing towards top with his blue spawning, so it'll be at least another 3-ish minutes, or 2 minutes at least, before we see them make anything happen on the bottom side.
Worth mentioning as well, xiye was level 6 for that fight, so was Mole, but ultimately they were already in the fight. Destiny doesn't do anything at that point in the game, whereas Mole could go for the Petrifying Gaze, got a triple slow and force them away.
So with Kramer not having his flash or heal available, they don't feel comfortable leaving him on his own in the bottom lane with Mark roaming towards the Rift Herald, so Kramer will move, but Sam D has not decided to stay in this bottom lane and try and get these tower plates for himself. Instead, he's hit level 6, and they'd like to try and force a fight here off of that misfortune.
They need to be quick if they want to actually contest for this one. It's going to be Harold going their way. Another Petrifying Gaze that petrifies no one, and there's the Moonlight Vigil. ppgod has nowhere to run, and it's 3 kills as well as the Herald for LGD.
Oh, easy as you like. LGD, with that massive knockup from Langx, are able to find the fight, and there's nothing V5 V5 can do. Now they've got the Rift Herald, they're running towards the top side and looking to give extra gold towards Kramer.
Beautifully done there by LGD, and a really nice ult from Kramer as well to set that up in the end. Now on towards his top tower. Kramer this time will be able to get that final plate for himself.
It was a bit all over in that last engagement from V5. Biubiu trying to come down from the top lane, but lagging behind and caught out by the position of LGD. And then even though Sam D finally did join the fight, he was too late where they weren't actually able to get on towards any of the main carries of LGD, and V5 end up falling behind.
Fall behind they will. Let's take another look at exactly how this happened, because there was a big old group up.
So look at where Biubiu is right now. He's completely zoned away by the other 3 members of LGD at the top side of your screen. And it means that then the rest of LGD are able to collapse. It's a 4 versus 5, realistically, because there's no Renekton involved from V5. And Sam D doesn't even get a shot off in the entire engagement.
xiye played that so beautifully. Steps on forward, throws the gold card, immediately turns around as Mole goes for the Petrifying Gaze. Had that stunned him, maybe that's a different fight entirely.
We are now sitting in the reality of LGD ahead 3,000 gold in this game so far, and although the scaling is at least answered by Mole on this Cassiopeia, it's going to take a lot more time before he's very relevant, especially sitting on 0-1 right now, although he has a lot of CS in his name. But still, Kramer shooting on ahead. Peanut, as you can see on your screen as well, shooting on ahead. These are where LGD will just get to their items faster as long as they can keep this up and snowball out of control.
Kramer is massive. He's 1,000 gold ahead of anyone on the side of V5. And let's bear in mind, look at the compositions right now. Kramer's on Aphelios. They have late game power. They've got the Ornn as well. This is exactly what V5 won with in the last game. V5 have mid-game power, aside from maybe the Cassiopeia, but when you look at the Misfortune, when you look at the Renekton, they should be winning these fights.
And as well how difficult it is for the Renekton, for this Trundle to really have an impact in these fights, because as you try to go in aggressively as Biubiu, if you're going front to back, well, you're running into this Leona, you're running into this Ornn, and there's not really an answer for you to get onto the back line. And even if you, by some miracle, manage to catch out Kramer or catch out Peanut, well, you've got the Lamb's Respite there to keep them safe. So this is a very difficult game for the V5 front line to have a big impact, especially with how much damage Peanut and Kramer can do in clearing out the front line of V5.
Catalyst of Aeons just finished there for Langx. You saw him forge in that one, so he's just going to get tankier and tankier heading towards the Abyssal Mask, and he's going to be able to help Peanut finish off the second Drake, and we'll see whether it is going to be the Infernal Drake coming through. So last time around, it was Ornn that was invincible. This time around, it'll be Assassin Ornn coming through.
Yeah, whatever mode you want to have for Ornn, look, it's going to be enabled in some way. Assassin, CC, May, whatever the list is there. But he's going to be in really good shape in this game. Already the Sunfire Cape completed, and now working up towards that Abyssal Mask. He's going to be so difficult for anyone on V5 to deal with, and especially when you look at the way Cassiopeia's play pattern is, that Abyssal Mask just doubles down so much on the utility end of this collection.
Yeah, reduces all the damage that's going to be coming on in. With a 5-1 scoreline, with 2 Drakes in their favor, and with a lot of late game power, LGD right now can just kick back and chill. And in fact, they're going to do exactly that. They're even going to pause things so that they can take even longer to sit back and chill. But ultimately, their scaling is through the roof. And when you're ahead already, it just feels fantastic.
It most certainly does. And Peanut is already off to a great start here, 2-0-2. And we talked about this in Champ Select, seeing a more proactive Peanut. And that's exactly what we see. Pushing in towards the top lane, trying to set things up, getting control of these objectives nice and early. And this is what I wanted to see from Peanut last game, but at least we get it in our game 3.
Yeah, we're getting on with Kindred as well. Exciting pick to watch him pop off on. But now we'll see. I'm sure we'll be able to update you guys on what the tech issue is going on right now, but hopefully it should be just a relatively short pause for you. But across the game right now, it's feeling like LGD are poised for a victory here, and you can see it on the faces. Kramer having a little laugh to himself. He knows that they're in a great spot, and he's the one that's got all the gold right now.
And why wouldn't you be happy about that? I mean, he's been looking absolutely fantastic so far. And just as long as he doesn't end up in these little wanderings that he does sometimes, this should be totally fine for LGD. But I still got to say, I mean, either way, this is a much closer game than if you looked at Spring you would have expected. V5 definitely coming in looking absolutely amazing. They've come into their own with Biubiu going from someone, when I look towards the top lane players, is losing out in fights he really shouldn't have, going over aggressive, and not being able to dominate the top lane in matchups that you expect as well, and now actually playing pretty damn well so far.
Langx hadn't even ironed his shirt. Creased on shirt there. I will say, I mean, you said you wouldn't expect him to be going this way in Spring. In Spring, I wouldn't have had a clue who was going to win, because neither of these teams was really that predictable back then. I guess LGD is certainly a stronger team than V5. I mean, in case you didn't know, V5 didn't win any games in Spring. Take a sip there. But LGD, they were inconsistent at best, right? We had a lot of issues where Peanut would start a fight off and nobody would follow up. So definitely, even against V5, I wouldn't have been putting any money down on LGD.
There's the man himself on your screen, ppgod. Look, I was expecting big things from him in this game, but it definitely has been a struggle, at least for the bottom lane, to have as big an impact as we saw. To be fair, though, they were against DMO, where we really started to hype up SamD and ppgod. And when you're against Mitsuki and Helper, who've been struggling a little bit, I can understand why we haven't seen as big of a performance out of them against Kramer and Mark. But still, looking at this, I kind of want to see more from V5 in how proactive they are in the early game, because it felt like in the last one, yes, they were able to do a lot more, they were able to make some plays really work, but they're struggling at the moment to keep xiye in check and try and keep this Twisted Fate in the lane by himself.
Yeah, it is going to be difficult. Obviously, he does have an ability that means he can literally teleport out of the lane, so it's always going to be hard to keep him there. But one quick update for you guys at home. Apparently, there's an in-game issue that's going to be the reason for the pause. Peanut, the one to call the pause there, and you can see him talking to the referee just a minute ago. And one thing about Peanut, no matter what's going on, you can see his team backing him up here. They also saw the issue. It's going to be Langx just pointing to his screen. But one thing about Peanut is no matter what is going on, that guy has a grin on his face, ear to ear. Like no matter, I feel like even when he was losing in World Finals, I feel like he was probably giggling away to himself.
I don't know if you're giggling at that stage, but definitely he does seem like a happy-go-lucky kind of guy.
Most people wouldn't, but Peanut, I don't know, man.
And I think that's why I'm kind of on the Peanut hype train. I'm rooting so heavily for this guy. He came off of Rocks Tigers. Everyone has praised him as one of the best junglers in the world. And then it started to slowly fall apart. He went over to SKT, wasn't quite able to get into the position that he would have liked there. Then to Kingzone and Gen G. And it was kind of this slow decline of Peanut for so many splits. But now coming over to LGD, like, it was still Peanut trying to get back to the
it was a rocky start, right?
Yeah, exactly. And now he's really started to, at least on this roster, have the opportunity to get back to what we expected from Peanut back in that 2017 era.
Well, we'll see, I guess, because let's bear in mind we're right at the start of summer still. There's a long time that they have to be consistent for. But Peanut has been relatively consistent for most of this time. It feels like he's had a hard time finding a roster he can work with. Here we go, Solar Flare in the mid lane, and that is Weiwei just removed from the situation, and a turret plate to boot.
Mole is on this top side though with nobody to really answer. Potential for the Destiny there. There we go, from xiye to get up there to answer. But still, pick another turret plate goes over in favor of LGD. And it's just this slow accumulation of gold. They're now up to a 4,000 gold lead and 2 dragons as well. So when this third dragon starts to spot... Oh, hang on.
Mole wants a 1v1 right here. He's going to be spotted on the ward. xiye can move away from this one. In comes ppgod from the side. He's going to be a little bit late, and it means nothing too much happens here.
So either way, I just want to come back to, it's going to be more difficult for V5 to fight at this dragon. Now, we are getting to the point where their items are going to play a big factor in this, because as you can see, S3 were completed for SamD. You are looking at Renekton as well, who should have the Black Cleaver completed by the time we get there, but it's still not ideal that you're a Zeal item ahead as Kramer.
Biubiu does nothing to Langx at this point in the game. He's already got his Sunfire cape. Biubiu doesn't have that Black Cleaver, so he can't actually really do too much just yet. Langx happy to walk away from the situation. Did finish that tower off, which means now it's 2 towers to 0 in favor of LGD. It's just going to be that pesky mid lane tier 1 remaining.
Well, the thing is, you can have potentially LGD look to split push here with xiye, where he's creating pressure on this top side. You're forcing Mole to deal with the wave that's about to crash. They just back it off. They get this Rift Herald, and here you go. Rift Herald there to create this pressure in the mid lane right as that dragon is about to spawn. LGD are in a really good spot right now, and looks like they're reading just that, although they want to kill on top of that.
It's a whole heap of turret gold going their way, and now they want to advance that even further. Mole has been caught, has flash, but there is no chance to use it. That is the 3rd ult from Mole that stuns nobody.
And the choreograph from LGD is on point. Everyone look back, don't get caught in the petrifying gaze. But V5 are answering really well in this mid lane, getting a turret for themselves. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter a huge amount for LGD to keep that turret for themselves. It's more about progressing as LGD on these turret situations.
Really nicely done there from Langx. Just clears the minion wave, making it much more difficult for them to dive him. He is real tanky, and in the meantime, all he has to do is buy time. xiye going to be split pushing on the top side. Peanut going to be able to grab himself the Rift Herald as well. And it looks like Langx was able to move himself away from the turret. Will be able to avoid getting dived himself. xiye, I don't think will be able to quite finish that turret off.
He won't be, but will have created enough pressure now that V5 will have to post Mole on that turret. So as long as xiye keeps pushing in here, he's got his teleport, he's got his destiny for this Inferno Dragon that's spawning in a minute. You're seeing the pressure already come through from LGD in the mid lane. With that Rift Herald now in tow, that just gets amplified even further.
Peanut even gets to steal away a few camps for himself as well. They start to build himself a little bit of a CS lead in that jungle role. Not to mention the fact he's 3-0-2. But he's got his warrior enchant there, and by the looks of things, he's going to go for that Black Cleaver second.
And we're starting to see the ramp up across the board. xiye, Rod of Ages, now sitting on 6 stacks, nearly at the Lich Bane, about 450 gold off of that at the moment, so still waiting for that one to be completed. But once he does, he becomes such a menace in this side lane. And I'm actually not certain what his secondary choice is. I don't think his secondary rune choice is. I don't think he's gone for the Demolish, but still going to be able to work through these towers very quickly in the side lane.
Yeah, very comfortably indeed. Infernal Drake, though, spawning in 5 seconds. And there's maybe an opportunity here for V5 to try and force something, but you have to bear in mind, they're 5,000, 4,000 gold down right now, so it's kind of a risky fight to start.
Well, they're trying to stop this charge. Might actually... No, not quite able to do so, but... Oh, here we go.
You've stepped way too far forward, my friend, especially with Drake spawning. Going to go for the Dominus, but you can't get anywhere near Peanut, and Mark is here to stop your escape route as well. Everybody gets an assist. It's a full 5-man play, and now onto their 3rd dragon.
They do have to be careful, though, because V5 have been shoving in this mid lane. They're going to exit stage top and go towards that top lane turret instead. So
exit stage top.
Stage top. It's where you jump really high onto the scaffold.
They're on a rope and they like just zoom up. It's like Peter Pan style.
Exactly, yeah. I see. This is why I like casting. You're on the same page with me here. But either way, LGD, they've managed to push in as well. So they're answering again on this bottom side, the tier 2, looking to be the one that they want to answer for themselves alongside the mid lane. So overall, this is massive for LGD.
xiye is loving this split push role so far this game. This is the 2nd tower that he's going to be able to get down to. Very little HP. With Peanut's help, though, they can finish that one off. The mid tier 1 goes down as well. 4 towers to 2, 3 Drakes to 0, 8 kills to 1. LGD are in utter control.
And this was really what I expected to see from LGD coming into this game. I know there were some doubters, aka Lyric, but I really think LGD were going to be able to power ahead, and we're seeing it here. When LGD are able to get themselves on the right page and have a composition where they can act across the map, they look really strong. And again, they're trading some of these towers, yes, but it's always trading both.
So, you know the rules of the hydration game where if Lyric says he knew it all along, You have to do 4 sips. What happens if Dagda says he knew it all along about LGD? Is there some kind of rules there? That sounded like that was what you were saying.
That's down the bottle at this stage, because I think I'm the only one who actually believes in LGD. I even ran in, so PYL cast on the Chinese side over here, and I ended up catching him one of the days as we were getting makeup and ready and all done for the cast. And PYL turned around, and even he doesn't believe in LGD. The former support for LGD told me, nah, it's not going to happen. So I am definitely on my own in this one.
That doesn't surprise me too much if you've seen any of Uzi's streams while he's watching RNG, because he's not exactly complimentary of the team, but he wasn't even in Sprig. So, you know, understandable when it's your old roster. I can kind of understand, though, like, if you've just left the squad, you don't really want them to succeed. You kind of want it to be you with the X Factor, right? Biubiu, for the 2nd time in a row now, has gone a little bit too far forward, slowed up, and will be just about finished off here. Although, with the ppgod missing, there's another stun. I think he's still going to go down. Bullet time across the team. There's a pull from ppgod. Kramer just forces Samdi away, though. There's no way he can match the damage. ppgod goes gold and keeps himself safe. Now they go, oh my days, the damage onto Mark. Gold card selected. They're trying to get onto Sam D. Mole is behind everyone, but could be in trouble because Kramer finishes off his support. And now Mole, he's going to try and slither away. And LGD are happy to let him because they're straight in towards this mid lane tower.
And they're going to be able to crack open this mid lane turret. They'll be able to move wherever the hell they want in this jungle and pop down a whole bunch of wards. And LGD nearly getting caught up by Mole with a really strong teleport flank, but it was well played by them to funnel back into this little choke just at the jungle, making sure Langx was then presented at the front of the fight, and there was no way for Mole to get onto some of the lesser carries in the back line. But here we go, Biubiu getting caught out, and I mean, as meme as we make it sometimes, this was actually genuinely, I believe, a zoning ultimate from Langx, because if Biubiu flashes there, you still catch him, or otherwise, you give xiye enough time to keep in touch with him, make sure you can get the gold card, and finish it off. But watch here again, LGD, as we said, look, get the pick on ppgod, the teleport from Mole into the backline, but kiting back into this little choke means that then Mole again is forced to deal with Langx. He can't get onto Kramer and xiye, and it's incredibly difficult for Mole then to have as much of an impact in the fight as V5 really needed there.
You know, the first time around, I felt like it was very chaotic and it was a little bit messy from LGD, but re-watching it with Dagda basically talking me through all of it, it actually felt really well coordinated, especially Mole getting forced away from the fight by Langx. Really well played on the Ornn.
Yeah, and this is a really smart play from LGD. This is why I actually love watching their fights. Is a lot of it is very coordinated, as long as they're not going for this pick style with the Ashe. But here we go, V5 hiding off on the wings.
Gonna try and make something happen here. Bear in mind, xiye is in the bottom lane right now, but Destiny available, so we can always zip on up to the correct half of the map. And Peanut is going to be waiting just in this brush to try and find the fight. Here comes the Destiny. ppgod knocked up. Stoneplate isn't going to save him now. And xiye comes in straight on Sam D, forced to flash away. The rest of LGD has to close this gap. xiye, gold card once again. If that hits Sam D, he's going to be a goner. Biubiu stopped, and xiye plays this beautifully. Sam D exhausted and finished off as well. LGD with a masterclass, and xiye playing on a knife's edge as Weiwei's finished off.
It is a beauty to watch in these fights, how LGD are able to position the calling, the coordination, and this is why LGD are really going to be a team that you've got to keep your eyes on, because if you try to fight them straight up, it'll be LGD who are going to take you down.
That was so beautifully done by LGD. Straight onto the Nexus. There's 10 seconds on the respawns, and they got minions for days. This is going to be the game going their way. This is going to be the series going their way as they even drop the Lamb's Respite. I think that might have been the first time I saw a Lamb's Respite